Hi, welcome. I'm Hannah and this is Theology Therapist. Thanks for being here today. So recently in the last 2 weeks we've been talking about meditation, and I just wanted to kind of round that out with one last talk for now about meditation and how it really is, in my mind, the scrimmage for life. So in therapy, you learn new coping skills. You may practice them together and then be given directions to go and practice them in between sessions in your daily life. Your therapist might suggest that you try certain things like not reacting right away when something happens, but how you might be unsure of how do you even practice that, right? So meditation is a great way to practice some of these things that your therapist, these coping skills your therapist might be suggesting, like the example that I just gave. The other thing is that meditation is a great option because it's very accessible if you don't have access to regular therapy. Now, it is not the same as therapy by any means in any way, but I do want to say that with my clients, we often talk about their meditation practice or beginning one because it is probably one of the most concentrated places, one of the places or things that you could do when you practice all of these things the most. So it is not therapy, I just want to be clear, and it does not replace working with a licensed professional, but it's a really great option if you're looking to work on and develop some new coping skills. Meditation is the practice for using those skills in the moment when you need it. So 3 things. What are the 3 things that meditation can teach you? These are the things that stick out immediately in my mind and tend to be, I would say, the top 3 that come up in my work with clients. So the first, I would say, is the impermanence of emotions. An emotion has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if we are not paying attention to them, if we're just living them or reacting to them or kind of any of those things, then we're not going to be as aware of the impermanency of emotions, how they come and go and they change. And what we are going to be aware of maybe is more of their intensity or the lack of them or the overwhelmingness of them. And so meditation can really help us focus on that impermanency. Now, what does that mean? Why is that important? Firstly, it's really important because you start to develop a non-attachment to an emotion. For example, sad or happy. Because a lot of times when we're sad, we don't want to be sad. And when we're happy, we want to stay happy, right? And as we all know, neither of those things is realistic, unfortunately. It's the same sort of attachment move to want to sort of get rid of sad or to hold on to happy. And the thing that is important for us to know or to learn is that neither of those things last forever. No one has ever been become mad and then stayed consistently mad at the same level and intensity forever and for always. And so the impermanency of emotions can help us become not attached to them. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't feel them or we don't experience them or we're apathetic to them or something. What that means is that we're not gripping onto them. The other thing, and we talked about this last week, I'm gonna throw up this quote here that we talked about last week. The meditation can teach us is the space between a stimulus and a reaction. So the quote that we talked about last week, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. We'll put the card up here for you. In short, Viktor Frankl said, there is a space between a stimulus and our reaction, and ... That space is our growth and our freedom. And so meditation can really take us through that ... into the process of growth and freedom. As we learn to step back from the stimulus, as we learn to step into that pause, and we can choose how it is that we want to respond. So instead of like jumping into anger or whatever that emotion might be, we can choose that response, or maybe we can notice that response and then decide to do something different. So that word intentional, that intentionality is what's key here. That's what's so important, is that changing, that deciding to do something different is how we change negative patterns of behavior, negative thought patterns, is by noticing that immediate reaction, that automatic reaction, and intentionally deciding whether we are going to keep going with it or if we're going to do something different. So that was number 2. There's a pause between a stimulus and a reaction, and getting comfortable learning to recognize that space. So that's number 2. Number 3 is decreasing our stimulation overload. Nowadays, as you all know, we are constantly overloaded with stimulation. We're overstimulated all the time. Phones, technology, TV, radio, I don't know, like all of it, all the time. It's sort of just the way our culture is right now. So for better or for worse, that's how it is. That's what we're living in. And our systems aren't built for that. Like our nervous systems aren't built for constant overstimulation all the time. And so when in meditation, we are pressing pause on that overstimulation and giving our system a few minutes of reset, right? It's like when you turn your phone off and you turn it on again because it's like started to freak out. When you turn it off, it's always the solution for everything. It's like, did you turn it off and turn it on again? Because you are resetting the system. And that's sort of the same thing with us. So we need to have that turn off in order to turn on again, because if not, we end up with our systems kind of going haywire when we don't have that time to spend, not even just in quiet. Like, it's not the quiet that's the important piece here, or that's the key. It's the absence of the overstimulation. It's the being letting our system reset, right? It's that turn off and turn on. That's the best way that I have right now to describe that. And that's that power. So when and it's when you sleep, your body is sort of regenerating, right? And that in a similar way, I'll say, my analogy, is what's happening during meditation for nervous systems. That we are pressing pause on that overstimulation so that our nervous system can regenerate. Otherwise, we end up with our system going haywire, right? Last week, we talked about a couple of different intro to meditation practices, and I hope you've been trying them. If you have, let me know how they've been going. Today, I want to give another little short intro practice. I'll tell you ahead of time so that you don't freak out, because sometimes when we're learning meditation, we can freak out. Oh my God, I'm gonna be stuck here forever. So we're just gonna do 3 minutes, very short. I think that it's a great starting time for entering into meditation. And so here we go. Get settled in your seat, wherever you are seated. If seated doesn't feel conducive to your practice today, you might try standing or walking or laying down. Wherever you are, if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, or you can have your gaze land slightly in front of you. And given that we were just talking about stimulation, check in Now, in these first few moments with your nervous system, are you feeling your nervous system frayed and haywire? Or are you feeling a sense of calm? Neither is good or bad, but just simply notice. And bring your awareness to your anchor. And that might be your breath. And breath might not feel comfortable or safe or accessible. And so that might be the feeling of your feet on the floor or your hands in space or resting on your legs. So wherever you are, bring your attention to your anchor. And as you notice thoughts arise, come back to your anchor. When your thoughts wander, know that that's what they do. And simply come back to breath or to hands, to feet. And now, gather your attention from your anchor and start to bring that attention into the room where you are. You might flutter your eyes open. You might move your head from side to side and take in the room. And notice any difference in your activation in your nervous system. If you don't notice anything, or you notice a lot, neither is better or worse. It just is. Your eyes are open. And we're back in the room. These are the 3 things that I would say are some of the first coping skills that you practice often when learning and when practicing meditation. I encourage you to try them at home. You can replay these practice meditations that we are doing at the end. If you try them at home, if you let me know if you like them or if you're practicing them. I hope that you found them helpful. Make sure before you go to subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all new content. Thanks. I'll see you next week. Be well.